We have the moon man himself here, Naveen Jain, talking to Samuel Bazua, the founder and CMO of the SVC conference. They're going to be giving us practical ways of applying this theory. Over to you guys.
How you doing?
Hey, good, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Just a quick intro about our next guest. His company, Moon Express, is the only corporation in the world with the permission to harvest resources from the moon. They also are developing an infrastructure needed to push humanity forward to multiplanetary society. And some of Naveen's honors and entrepreneurial endeavors and successes include he's been honored with the Ernest and Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Albert Einstein's Technology Medal for Pioneers in Technology, Most Creative Person by Fast Company, Most Admired Serial Entrepreneur in India, Humanitarian Innovation Award at the United Nations. It's indeed a pleasure to have the 10x times 10 thinker with us. Welcome, Naveen.
Well, thanks a lot, Sam. It's very kind of you to be hosting me here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's get to it. In 1961, JFK said, "We'll put a man on the moon before the end of the decade." In 2020, your company, Moon Express, is actually working on mining minerals from the moon. So that to me is a wonderful way to begin the future of things. And what says you about that? 1961, we were thinking of putting a man on the moon, and now we're going to the moon to mine minerals.
Yeah. So, Sam, I think going to the moon actually is symbolic. It's a symbolic of what entrepreneurs can achieve. It is really about a single individual or any one of us dreaming that what is possible and making it happen. To me, it is, going to the moon is not just about going to the moon because we know it has been done. It is really showing as a private citizen, as a private company, that you are doing things that only the superpowers did before. The only countries that have landed on the moon are really Russia and US and China. And now imagine we become the fourth superpower, right? And that to me is really the thing, is about entrepreneurs really doing things that were never possible before. To me, it is about 4 minutes a mile, that no one ever thought the human body is capable of running a mile in under 4 minutes. It took one person, Mr. Bannister, to do that. And guess what? The 13 people after that did that the next year. And to me, once we can show that we can go to the moon as an entrepreneur, imagine what the next set of entrepreneurs is going to do. They'll be settling on the, not just in the Venus or Mars, they're going to be going beyond our solar system, even beyond our galaxy. And they're going to be intergalactic travel and intergalactic net. And we're all going to be connected as humanity, living on all kinds of spacecrafts, not just planet Earth.
Your passion never ceases to amaze us. What sort of minerals would you be mining, and what is the operational cost, profitability, and the risk involved? Because if I stay here on Earth, I can actually be the Bears and I'm mining diamonds and gold and whatnot wherever. But if I go to the moon, what are we mining over there?
Well, first of all, again, it's not about mining for the minerals. It's not even about mining for anything. It is about saving the humanity from potential extinction. But to answer your question specifically, the helium-3 is an isotope of helium that can become a energy source for fusion energy as a very clean energy. And a small quantity of helium-3 could power this planet for decades to come. But really, to me, it is about you and I serving the humanity and saving it from potential extinction. Imagine if we get hit by a large asteroid. We as a species will die down. And some of us are egotistic enough to say that I am worried about our planet. I'm sorry, don't worry about our planet. Our planet would do just fine without us. As a matter of fact, it might do better off without us, right? The fact is, when we got hit by asteroid, 65 million years ago, when all the dinosaurs died, planet survived. It's the dinosaur, which was a magical big species, they couldn't survive. The planet not only survived, it thrived. It created humans, right? And now guess what? When the humans die down, it's going to create superhumans for all we know. So my point is, we as humanity have to worry about ourselves, what we do. And to me, a lot of the time, Sam, I get asked about, why go to the moon when there are so many problems on the earth alone? And that reminds me of a mindset of a scarcity, that if you do this, you can do this, right? Answer is yes, you can go to the moon, and yes, you can solve the problem on earth. And that's the reason now I'm working on both, going to the moon to save the humanity and working on earth to save the people living healthy. And that's my another company called Viome, where we are literally looking to say, can we make illness optional?
Thank you very much. We definitely will be making the illness optional with Viome someday. And to my next question, find something that you are willing to die for and live for it. That is a direct quote from you. That's one of your best quote that I love and that I like so much, just because it tells us much more about what entrepreneurship is. If you could explain that to our viewers, that would be really interesting, and I believe that would help a lot of people to anchor
Sure.
on their beliefs of whatever it is they're trying to achieve in life. Find something you're willing to die for and live for it.
Yeah. Well, Samuel, first of all, thank you very much for saying that. But look, as an entrepreneur, your life is like a heartbeat. It goes up and down and up and down. And that tells you that you are alive. When you are running a smooth life, you are dead. You never want your heartbeat to be smooth. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. When you start to coast, you're dead. You need
Yeah.
to see these things are going up and down. And the beauty is, when you're down, all you have to do is hunker down, because you know the next beat is going to be up. And when you're on top of that beat, never get too cocky, because winter is coming and winter will come, right? So point is, I really find that, lot of entrepreneurs talk about they have to have a passion for what you're doing, right?
Mm.
And I tell you, passion is for losers. Passion is for hobbies, right? See behind me, passion for collecting space rocks, that's my passion. My obsession is to make sure that humanity doesn't have to suffer through chronic diseases. And the way you find your true obsession is, do you jump out of the bed when you wake up in the morning? And if you are not jumping out of the bed when you wake up in the morning, whatever you're doing, you should quit and do something else, because that's not your obsession, right? And the reason I say is, if every day of your life, if you don't have that type of obsession to solve the problem, not obsession to make money, not obsession to do anything, obsession for fellow humans to live a better life. So the only way you can create $100 billion company is to improve the lives of 1 billion people to live a better life. If you can do that, and every day you wake up in the morning asking yourself, what can I do to improve the lives of fellow humans? You can create a massive enterprise, because doing good and doing well comes together. In fact, the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. So to me, it has always been is about, find something that you're willing to die for and then live for it, because that's the only way you will go out and push the trajectory of how humanity is going to live. That's how you're going to push the humanity forward. That's how you're going to allow, when you die, to pass on the baton to the next generation, that even though you could not take it to the finish line, someone is going to come take the baton and take it across the finish line, and the humanity still wins.
Sounds great. It's been one company after the other for the past 25 to 30 years. It was Intellius, Blue Dot, TalentWise, Viome, Moon Express. Have you had the time to rest at all in
Well,
this past
answer is,
25 years?
honestly, I wake up every morning and I think I am retired, because to me, retirement is about one thing and one thing only: do the things that you love doing, and
Yeah.
don't do a thing that you don't want to do, and do it for as long as you want to do, right? And that to me is what I do. I wake up in the morning and say, God, I am so fortunate to be alive. I get to wake up and work on the things that I love doing.
Yeah.
Instead of chasing a small ball on a green court, when your life amounts, think about it for a second. When your
Yeah.
life amounts to chasing a small ball on a green court, I think you have outlived your utility to humanity. You should give a permission for someone to shoot you and say, please take me out of my misery. I am no longer valuable to the society. I am become a parasite on humanity. Please take me out of my misery. Because if you cannot be doing something that is helping yourself, your loved ones, and the humanity, the fellow humans, then why live? Why become the parasite?
So it sounds like from what I'm gathering that you're saying, we you're you've been put on Earth to do something to move humanity forward. Is that your mission and your mantra in life?
But guess what? We all are. Our mantra is very simple. We
Yeah.
are here for a purpose. And our purpose is not just to live the longest life and make the most amount of money. Our purpose here is to serve each other, to really care about our fellow humans, and to say, what can we do together that will actually make every one of us actually rise up? And it can never be about just simply about us. The more you can focus on making everyone better, guess what? The karma is a bitch. The universe is watching it. It's going to keep coming back to you and give you more and more. So the more you give, the more you're going to get. And the more you serve people, the more the universe is going to serve you.
I believe that the more you serve people, the more the universe will serve you. That's definitely true indeed. I observe you incorporate first principles thinking into most of your businesses. And first principles thinking is something which helps in terms of monumental change as opposed to incremental iteration. Can you explain the thought process so others can actually experience dramatic shifts as well? How do we internalize and actually go into making sure that we can, if possible, use first principles to enhance whatever it is that we're doing?
Yeah. So the one thing to ask yourself is, anytime you start something in whatever that venture is, I go through a simple framework. Why
Yeah.
this? Why now? Why me? Right? Why this is really simple. You ask yourself, whatever you're trying to do, God forbid I am actually successful in doing that. Would it help a million people, 100 million people, a billion people live a better life? If the answer to that is no, and you say, life is too short for me to be dedicating 10 years of my life to doing something that is just not going to move the needle, it's not a big enough problem, right? The second part of his why now is, what had changed in the last couple of years that
Yeah.
allows me to solve this problem today than it was possible to do a decade ago? If you're still using the same set of technology that were available a decade ago, just know that you're not the smartest guy. Somebody would have solved that problem. That means you have to be thinking, what has really changed? COVID
Yeah.
happened. The world had changed. Now, set of things, the new businesses that I can create today didn't exist. Who would have thought putting a cloth on the face is going to be $1 billion industry, right? Before
That's
COVID,
true.
nobody would have said, Americans are going to be putting the masks, and we should really think about creating masks, right? My point is, the world changed, and you have to find out, as world is changing, what opportunities are being created. And number two, what technologies are coming together that allows you to now solve the problem that was unsolvable before, right? Healthcare.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I did Wyoming, and I'm going to apply the same work framework to see, when we said, I wanted this 4 years ago, I said, I'm doing this Moon Express, going to the moon. What is
Yeah.
going to be my next moonshot? And I said, imagine there are billions of people on planet Earth are suffering from chronic diseases. When I say chronic diseases, I mean diabetes, obesity, autoimmune diseases, dementia, depression, anxiety, cancer, heart diseases. People are dying from this every day. What
Yeah.
if we can make illness optional, right? So we say, number one principle, God forbid I'm successful. Would it help a billion people? Answer what? 7.4 billion people, check mark, right? Next part, what technology is in a why now? And we say to solve this problem, you have to be able to digitize the human body. Or the
Correct.
cost of digitizing or cost of sequencing has come down or will come down in the next couple of years that allows you to do so. And that was at that time when I started, the cost of doing those several $1,000. And I knew it's going to come down to $1,200. Guess what? Today we sit here, the cost is under $10, right? And that to me was the exponential curve down. The second part was once you digitize the human body, how would you process all this massive amount of data? You
Correct.
won't have access to supercomputer. Are
Yeah.
there systems available that allows you to process the data cheaply? Come AWS, right? You
Yeah.
can fire 1,000 cores and you can now have massive processing power. And the third thing was once you have all this data, can you actually decipher and analyze it? And AI was becoming more and more powerful. And I say confluence of all these things allows you to solve this problem, and time is now. And the last part as an entrepreneur is really interesting. Why me? You always have to ask yourself, what is it? What questions are you asking that are different from what everyone else in the industry is asking? So it's not about having the right answer, Sambo. It's about asking the right question, because the
Question.
question you ask is the problem you solve, right? So if you go into the moon and you say, hey, if you're going to live on the moon, how are you going to grow the food on the moon? What happens when you ask that question? The only
I
solution,
I love that.
the only solution is to grow the food. But what if you
Correct.
ask a slightly different question? Why we eat food? Guess
Yes.
what? Now you have many possibilities because you eat food for energy and nutrition. How many different ways can we get energy? Radiation, photosynthesis. How many ways can we get nutrition, right? Now you have many possibilities. I applied the same principle to Viome, and I say, what would it take? Why is the chronic diseases happening? It turns
Mm.
out everyone was focused on looking at the human genes or microbial genes. They thought once they understood the genes, that's a software for human body, they will be able to solve the problem. And to
Yeah.
me, what was really interesting was not being a scientist or a doctor. I kept thinking your genes or your DNA never change when you become obese. Your
Yeah.
DNA doesn't change when you become depressed. Your DNA doesn't change when you have heart disease. So what is really changing? It is the gene expression. So our question that we were asking was, I'm not going to worry about what every question that everyone is asking the same question. What genes are there in the human body? We're going to say what genes are being expressed in the human body are really the key to solving this problem. And we say that is really the differentiator why we are going to win. And just by simply changing that, it
Yeah.
allowed us to create a company that could never have been created before. So to me, this framework, by the way, you can apply to anything in life, not just entrepreneurship. You meet a girl you want to date, you ask, why this? Why now? Why me? You can solve the same question. Right? So my point is this framework applies to any problem in life.
So before you met your wife, is that was that the frame? Was that the frame mind? Was that how you
Oh my God.
actually? Why me? Why now?
Why her?
Why? Yeah. Maybe not why her, but why you?
Oh, that right. My point was really, yes, of course, that was 30 plus years, 32 years ago, right? So
Yeah.
yes, my at that time I wasn't that smart to apply this framework. So today, if I were to ever rethink about that, I probably applied that framework, and I probably still would have married the same one.
Impressive. And you and how do you keep looking young? A lot of individuals have said he is not. He's not as he's young. He's young looking. So how do you actually achieve that youthful look, given the fact that you've been working all your life? What you do is extremely stressful, but you retain a youthful look as well as a youthful mind. How does that happen?
I think, Samuel, look, every one of us, if we love what we are doing, It
Yes.
makes us feel young. If you surround yourself with people who uplift you, it makes you young. If you surround yourself with people who are constantly bringing you down, they become the energy sucking machine, the energy vacuum cleaner. They suck
Yeah.
the energy out of you, they make you old, right? So to me, waking up every day with with life, with joy of life and loving life, and
Yeah.
being grateful for what you have. Happiness is a choice that you and I make every single day. When we
Correct.
wake up in the morning, if I may invoke the word God or universe gives us a choice. Do you want to be
Yes.
happy or unhappy? And we can pick anything we want. If we say we want to be unhappy today, you can come up with 10 reasons why your life sucks. I am only
I
flying in
I
a
could completely agree with that.
I fly in a Learjet. Bill Gates flies in a Global Express. My life sucks. Right? I only have a house, and look at here, the mansion. My life sucks. Right? You can
Yeah.
come up with 10 reasons why your life sucks, or you can wake up in the morning every day and say, I
I'm
just got
grateful.
out of the bed. My joints don't hurt. I am so fortunate. I just woke up next to the woman I love. My life is amazing. Look at my children, what they're doing. My life is amazing. So, my point is, when you find a reason to be grateful, when you
Yeah.
find that happiness inside you, and obviously the right thing is, as we can talk about the nutrition, having a good sleep, not worrying about stress, and having also a good nutrition in your body is what
Yeah.
makes you young. And nutrition is the key to your health, because it is not about food being healthy, it is healthy for you right now or not. Because the same food that is a superfood for me can be a kryptonite for you. A same food that's
It's true.
superfood for me can be a
Yeah.
kryptonite for me a year from now. So as our
Yes.
body is changing, as we are aging, we have to constantly adjust what nutrition we need. And that was part of the things what we did with Viome, was to be able to
Yes.
analyze everything inside your body and say, here are the foods you should eat and why. Here are the foods you should avoid and why. And by the way, here are all the supplements you need, because these are the things that are lacking in
Get you
your
to stay
body.
awake.
And for the first time, what we did was we are able to do made to order. We can literally say you need 22 milligram of elderberry, you need 7 milligram of lycopene, and we literally put that in a capsule and make that for you, right? So to me, the technology is now allowing us to do things that was never possible before. And I really believe in a decade from now, we
Hmm.
would have been eliminating a chronic disease. I am absolutely convinced a decade from now, people won't be dying from cancer. A decade from now, people won't be losing their grandparents because they could no longer remember who they were. They could
Yeah.
no longer would be suffering from all these diseases that makes them fragile. And you could argue that aging is nothing but a chronic disease, and there is no reason we would not be able to stop aging or prevent aging and reverse aging, right? As you know, I'm 61 years old now, and my biological age is 49. So my hope is when I turn chronologically 70, my
Yeah.
biological age comes down to 35, right? So that, there you have it.
I can't wait till I'm 61 and that happens to me as well. Thank you.
It will, Samuel, it will.
Thank you. Yeah, you talked about sleep. I don't get that much sleep, but yeah, I think I'll try and do much better with that. You There's something else that I would like to touch upon. This is from one of your quotes. I love a lot of your quotes because it actually gives an insight as to the kind of individual you are, your way of thinking, and perhaps the way you've been able to achieve a lot of things that you did. So you can't create a $10 billion company by solving a $1 billion problem. That means you have to go out there and solve a $100 billion problem. And it so happens that a $100 billion problem is massive educational problem, healthcare problem, water, energy. Was that the frame of mind you used in starting Intellius and Vial?
Yeah.
Is that what you were thinking?
And again, going back to it, is the most $100 billion problem tend to be what we call the societal problems, the things
Yeah.
that we as a society are facing: the lack of fresh water, lack of clean energy, lack of whatever the thing you want. These are poverty, that all the problems we are facing as humanity. These
Yeah.
are the big problems. These are the ones, any one of us who can solve any of these problems, you're going to not only create a massive enterprise, you're going to improve the lives of billions of people at the same time. And to me, staying focused on how many lives you improve is really the way to measure your success. So one of the things, Samuel, we have three wonderful children, and they're all going out and doing some amazing things. And I can tell you that some of the reasons that why they are so focused on doing so great for the humanity and for themselves, for that matter,
Yeah.
is because we, in the early, when they were young, we told them your success will never be defined by the amount of money you have in your bank. It will be
Right.
defined by how many lives you are able to improve. Your self-worth is never going to be about what you own. Your self-worth is going to be about what you
What?
create. And if you
Exactly.
have own a lot and you haven't created anything, you're still a parasite on humanity. So don't be that parasite on humanity, right? And know the only way you will know you're successful is when you actually become humble. The humility is a sign of success, because if you
Yes.
still have an iota of arrogance left in you, that means you're still trying to prove something to yourself or someone else, right? So to me, anytime I start a company, again, going back to why this, that God forbid you're successful, is it going to really help a billion people, and is it really $100 billion problem? Because that's how you're going to create a massive enterprise and have a massive success in that definition of being successful.
I love the fact that you talked about humility. When we reached out to you, you actually reached out back to us directly without any third party emailing us, and that's really rare for people in your field. And yeah, so can you tell us more about that? You know, being successful doesn't necessarily mean you have to be arrogant or
So one thing is, a lot of the people somehow feel that once they become successful, somehow they are beyond reach for everyone else. To me,
correct.
you can never forget where you come from. Where you
Yes.
come from is, I come from very humble background. We didn't have a food to eat. We didn't have a place to stay. I never forget who I am. When
Yeah.
someone reaches out to me, it reminds me of my time when I reached out to someone, and how I felt when I didn't respond. I felt, what an arrogant asshole didn't get 2 minutes of his time to respond to
Yeah.
this. And I always remember, if I don't, how am I, the person on the other end, is going to feel? And it's, giving 30 minutes of my time, God, someone who's listening to it, if
Yes.
one person whose life changes, if one person goes out and does something different what they would have done but for this, I think my 30 minutes of my life has been really worthwhile. So to me, when God has been so kind to you, it is your responsibility to go back and remember there are a lot of people you left behind, to bring them right back up. Just because you took an elevator up, don't forget to send it way back down again, so other people can come back up again, not take the key of the elevator and throw it out and say no more. Right? Which is really surprises to me, is that as people become successful, they become so inaccessible.
Yes.
I give my email out. Please reach out to me. I'm here, because at the end of the day, I can't say I want to help the humanity, but when humanity reaches out and say, I have no time for you, right? I
That's
mean,
true.
how does that work, right? So to me, I really feel that you have to live the words you say. You can't say something, and a lot of people, you and I both know, they go out and make these speeches and the grandiose statement on how they want to help, and you reach out to them and say, I need help, and say, go talk to someone else, I don't have time for you, right? I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you said you wanted to help, maybe not. Right? So
Well,
anyway, Samuel, it's very kind of you to say that, but to me, I always feel that it is not a anything different I do. It is
yeah.
something I feel who I am as a person.
Thank you. You you're going to the moon. Elon Musk is going to Mars. You've been publicly we publicly heard you saying you disagree with him. Do you still hold that position of going to moon as opposed to going to Mars?
No, I did not say I disagree. What I'm saying is this, the moon is a better stepping stone for us to live on other planet. And here is the reason, right?
Yeah.
Because anytime you're going to live away from the planet Earth, there are going to be problems. There are going to be issues. And moon is only 3 days away versus Mars that's 6 months away. So as I said, it's better to be a lunatic and be on the moon when something goes wrong and come back versus have to stick out for 6 months before somebody could come and help you. So I really think you are better off learning to take your, before you ride your bike, take your training wheel, go to the moon, make sure everything works before you take your
Before
training
you,
wheel off and say, I'm going to the Mars. So yes, we need to be on the Mars. Yes, we need to go to Venus. And yes, we need to go beyond our galaxy. But let's make sure we know how to ride our bike on it with a training wheel first.
I agree with that. Have you always been a big thinker who who believed everything was possible, or an experience made you that way? Because sometimes some people want to achieve things, they may have the prerequisite, but perhaps people did not encourage them when they were much younger. So achieving whatever it is they have in mind becomes inaccessible. So how did you go from where you were, which you mentioned previously, to where you are now?
And I really think it is about creating this cycle of virtuousness, right? The small amount of success gives you confidence, and that
It's
confidence
true.
leads to a bigger success. And once you can create this virtuous cycle, you
Yeah,
constantly are able to push the boundary. And everyone always say, what was that thing that actually made you change to where you are? And
yeah,
in life, it's really is a continuum. It keeps building on top of each other. Every person you speak to, every interaction you have changes who you are as a person. And everyone knows that it's not the last straw that breaks the camel's back. It is all the straws combined and that actually breaks the camel's back. And so you become a person based on life that you live.
yeah.
And one of the most interesting thing that I find, Samuel, is that people would say, hey, if you were to go back in your life, change one thing, what would that be? And I always wondered, why do people even ask that? Because if you could change one thing and you do change that, you don't realize that you will become a different person, because the
That's correct.
trajectory of your life will become completely different. And if
Yeah,
you're happy and you are here and people are asking you that you are here and you're so happy, what would you change? The answer is nothing, right? Because if I change anything, any bad thing that happened, anything that happened in my life, I won't be where I am today. So the fact I love myself today, that is to mean there is nothing needs to be changed, right? So I would say every day you wake up and say yourself, I love myself. Because the
yeah.
day you fall in love with yourself is the day the world is going to fall in love with you. When you keep hating yourself, you're going to hate the world, and world is going to hate you.
I love the positive words. How about if I'm in a situation whereby things are so bad that, as much as I'd like to love myself, I cannot. Maybe because there's war going on around me, or
Yeah.
famine and poverty and everything. How do I get to love myself if I see everything around me is bad?
But remember that the heartbeat, you're just at the bottom of that beat. All you
Yeah,
have to do is find that gratitude that your family, that despite all the things that are happening, your mother still gave you a hug. You have a loving mother. A lot of people don't have a chance to that have a mother to be telling them everything is going to be okay. The
yeah,
fact you still have both your legs and both your hands and they're not gone, that means you're still a very lucky man. The fact you're able to speak, you're a very lucky man. The fact you have a brain to be able to think beyond what is happening, you're a very lucky man. My point is there's so much to be grateful for. And you go out there and take one day at a time, knowing that life will change, and the soon the beat is going to be up, and you just have to take it one step at a time and never give up on your dreams. Because when you put the intention out in the universe, And the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about life is it happens to me time and time again that I want to do something. I put the intent out in the universe. I say, God, help me with this. It may be possibly because now I keep my eyes and ears open to that possibility. Next thing I know, I'm meeting people. I say, oh, that person can actually help me get here, right? So my point is suddenly universe starts to bring the people around you who can help you. But your job at that time is to keep your eyes and ears open once you put the intent out there. But if you put the intent out there, you say, universe is my enemy. Everything universe is doing is conspiring against me. Guess what? Everything you see around, you're going to find that conspiracy why the universe is against you. The
Yeah.
minute you say universe is my friend, universe, even if the bad things are happening to me right now, you say
Mm.
universe knows this is my time for testing. It is testing me to see when I have success. I remember this, right? Universe is not bad. It is going to find a way for me to take it back up. And that is really the way to always know that believe that things are going to happen and put the intent out there. Surround yourself with the people and say, Samuel, yes, you can do that. Rather than saying, oh, you come from this block, you will never get there. Forget that. You are crazy. That will never happen to you. That only happens to rich people. Guess
Yeah.
what? One day you're going to be that person.
I couldn't. I love the way you finished at that. Wayne Dyer actually said, "The way we see, if if you see things in a particular way, the way you see things change." I can't remember how the quote goes, but it said something about if you see something in a particular way, that's how it will end up being. So if you think the glass is half full, then it's half full. If you think it's half empty, then it's definitely half empty. So, what is the next moonshot project that you can share with us that you're working on?
Well, I mean, honestly, it is, there's so many things. At the end of the day, I only focus for the decade and at a time on focus on this problem. And once we solve, there are problems are never going to go away. If we can solve healthcare for billions of people so they never get sick,
Yeah,
you know what? We got education to solve. We got energy problem to solve. We got
correct.
hunger to solve. We got poverty to solve. And if we solve all of that, it doesn't mean we are out of problem. That people are going to say, hey, why do we have to speak to communicate our ideas? Why can't you just connect brains
Yeah,
to all the brains out there and upload your brain and they instantly would have all the knowledge that you have? Why do you have to sit in the class for 4 years to learn the knowledge from a professor? Why can't you just broadband connection to them and just get the thing downloaded and you're done? Right. So my point is, we'll always be solving the next set of problems, whether the problems are going to be around us becoming better person, us
yeah,
really having the massive capacity. Because why have a limited neocortex up on your head when you can connect it to the cloud and have unlimited neocortex, unlimited memories, unlimited processing power, unlimited imagination? Right.
sounds like you're working on the limitless pill.
There you go.
You remember the movie Limitless?
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, since this is the future of things to come, how do you see AI changing or shaping our lives in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, AI has been changing our life for a long time, except that once AI becomes part of our life, we no longer think of as AI, right?
Correct.
Dishwasher is an AI. I mean, right? We never think of a dishwasher as an AI. It's got it's a robotics AI. It is literally doing everything that AI robotics would do. So my
Yeah.
point is, as things become part of our life. So, for example, Google Maps are an AI. We now rely on that. When it says make a left turn, you make a left turn. So point is, AI is already there for us every day. It just becomes more and more part of it. And when it really becomes part of us, we no longer think of as AI. I
That's
would
true.
argue this idea of this artificial intelligence one day is going to change because there is nothing artificial about it. One would say that humans will become the AI, and we'll call that ancient intelligence, right? So this is going to be the real intelligence, and humans are going to be the AI, which is the ancient intelligence, and then we are going to merge into one. So it is never going to be about human versus AI. It will be human and AI together, actually doing things that neither AI nor humans could do. So AI that is powerful enough to take my job away is powerful enough for me, allow me to do the thing that I couldn't have done. So as a truck driver, I may lose my job because now I have a driverless trucks. But guess
Yeah.
what? Now AI allows me to become a healthcare workers because I don't need to know about that. The AI is going to triage for me and say, Samuel, do this now, do this, and now put the results here. Good, this is the problem, you need to now just give her a big hug, right? Point is, you will do the thing that you couldn't have done as a truck driver because AI can help you become that now. So point I'm trying to make is that artificial intelligence is here to stay. It has been here for decades, and it's not going anywhere because it will always become part of our life. In fact, in almost everything you do today is driven by AI. Depending on the searches on a Google, it actually uses AI to determine what you're going to be actually wanting, right? So I think everything is going to be more and more intelligent. Everything is going to be more and more personalized.
Yeah.
Everything is going to become more and more precise. And the world around you is going to become so personalized that everything you see is going to be catered to you.
You couldn't have ended that on a better note. Um, that takes me to another question. When it comes to, so what camp are you on when it comes to singularity? Some people have said that is machines taking over, and some say something similar to what you've just said. Machines and human beings will come together, and that would better our lives. Which camp are you in? Are the machines taking over or not?
Well, the point is, machines can't take over because machines need us for them to take it over, right? So, in a sense, that at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what makes us human, right?
Yeah.
What is it us that when we say, let's assume I say I want to live forever, what is that I? Is it my body? My body is dying all the time. It's born and dying all the time. Remember, I was a baby and now we've grown up. My body is constantly changing and dying. So what do you want to live forever, right? Now I change, I get old, I replace my knees, I replace my shoulder, I replace my hip, I replace my heart, I replace my kidney. What part am I not me anymore, right? The answer is our memories and our experience is what makes us who we are, right? Now we can take those memories and experiences, now we can put that anywhere else. Is that us? And what if we can now have a, remember, today we are limited by our sensors, our ears and eyes. Our brain doesn't know what you are seeing. Brain is dark. It simply gets a sensors, it gets a signal from our sensors. Now
Correct.
what if we can be in 5 places at the same time, and your brain is getting the signal that you're in Atlanta, you are here in North Carolina, here you are in Florida, right? And your brain is simultaneously syncing. So my mother would say, you can't be in 2 places at the same time. Mom, I'm in 5 places at the same time, and my brain knows it is there. It smells Florida, it smells Texas, right? It smells everything, it sees everything, it hears everything. So what I'm trying to make is that at the end of the day, call that a machine, call that a biological robot. We are
Correct.
basically a analog biological robot. Making a digital doesn't change who we are, right? So point is, I think at the end of the day, our memories and experience, if we can save them, we are the same body. We can change the body someday, and the body can be biological or it can be non-biological.
Thank you. One question that came in from our audience is the captain coming in is what is your prediction for Bitcoin? 2017, it was 20,000. Last year, March, it was 3,748. And right now, we know where it is 11,300. What is your prediction and when?
I don't believe in Bitcoin. I do not believe there is any value to it.
Okay.
At the end of the underlying blockchain it is a great technology, but creating a currency is really not something we need to do, and it doesn't, in my humble opinion, it doesn't solve any problem. that is not solved, because everything we have today is digitized anyway. When I move the money, it's digitized. I can send any money to anyone. It's simply digits that get transferred. Nobody physically moves money anymore. So everything is, for example, is digitized already. And the only problem that Bitcoin solves is to do illegal things that you don't want people to know. And that to me is not a business. There you have it.
You have done a wonderful job by ending this conversation at the right, precise point at which we were meant to end. Naveen Jain, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Samuel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Naveen, I can see why they call you the Moon Man. I feel like we just went to the moon. He's gone, but I feel like we just went to the moon and back with that conversation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Why this? Why now? Why me? Why this? Why now? Why me? I'm going to repeat that myself. And also, getting some dating advice was a real bonus as well.
Oh, God.
We appreciate that. Great. My turn to moderate. Thank you, Naveen.
Thank you.